Dieses Video wird dir präsentiert von helden.de, deinem zuverlässigen Partner für Fahrrad- und E-Bike-Versicherungen. Mit dem Heldencode aus der Videobeschreibung sparst du zusätzlich noch den ersten Monatsbeitrag und unterstützt dadurch diesen Kanal Fahrradstadt Hamburg.
Und zwar gibt es hier etwas, eine Radwegkombination, die sich von den Niederlanden inspiriert hat oder inspiriert worden ist, nämlich die Breite des Radweges festzulegen und den Rest der Fahrbahnbreite dann nur noch dem Auto zur Verfügung zu stellen, so wie wir es in den Niederlanden ja oft gesehen haben. Und das scheint hier zu Verwirrungen gesorgt zu haben. Und ich bin da sehr gespannt, ob es da wirklich, wie im Thumbnail angekündigt, wirklich zu Crashes kam, weil die Leute nicht in der Lage waren, dann vernünftig auszuweichen oder weil sie draufgehalten haben. Ich bin sehr gespannt. Ich bin so gespannt wie ein Flitzebogen.
There may be a car coming at any moment. By golly, I'm paying attention.
So, what do you think? You like this bike lane? And no, this is not a one-way street. This is a two-way street.
Picture
Ja, gefällt mir sehr gut. Zuerst mal. Gefällt mir wirklich gut.
this. Just one lane for cars and no yellow center line.
Well, if you do like it, you better enjoy it here in this video because by the time you watch it, it's going to be gone. And it's not even a week old. About a week ago, the city of San Diego finished up resurfacing this street here in Mira Mesa, and they put in these new bike lanes that we've never really seen in Southern California before.
Ja, wir würden es Schutzstreifen oder Schmutzstreifen nennen oder Mordstreifen. Ja, kein großer Fan.
A narrow neighborhood street like this doesn't have enough room for bike lanes. So people...
Nochmal.
A narrow neighborhood street like this doesn't have enough room for bike lanes.
Will er uns jetzt erzählen, wo wir uns das hier angucken, dass er uns erzählen will, es gäbe keinen Platz für einen Radweg? Es gäbe ihn schon. Ich spoilere jetzt mal. Hier wäre guter Platz für einen Radweg. Und hier wäre ein guter Platz für einen Radweg. 2 Radwege. Protected. Wow. Ja. Hier Protektion einfügen. Hier dies wegnehmen, hier einen Radweg anlegen, hier einen Radweg anlegen, hier jeweils einen Fahrstreifen und schon hast du sichere Radinfrastruktur. Also, dass es keinen Platz gibt. Interessant.
So people riding have to share the full lane with cars.
Übrigens, in einem der Streams war gefragt worden, weil ich von Sharrows gesprochen hatte, was Sharrows sind. Das hier sind Sharrows.
So San Diego went back to the drawing board and replaced it all with these 2 edge lanes for bicycles to use and 1 lane in the middle for cars going in both directions.
So the shared center lane is not wide enough for 2 cars to pass each other without using one of the edge lanes. In fact, it's only 12 feet wide.
The same width as a freeway lane, 1 car going in one direction. And a lot of people hated it.
They didn't tell anybody in the neighborhood they were going to do it, and
Ja, warum auch?
people were really confused.
Okay. Verwirrt. Warum? Okay.
I appreciate the intention of somebody who made this decision. Just all of a sudden, here are the lines in a way we've never seen them before.
Milton and Penn live around the corner. Even 3-4 days into the new lanes, they were still too scared to go for a drive on it.
Like in disbelief, just talking about how it looks so crazy.
Like, how do you drive it?
They joined neighbors worried
Bin nur ich derjenige, der jetzt ganz schockiert ist, dass die Leute nicht wissen, was sie tun sollen? Hä? Bin nur ich so verwirrt?
a head-on crash was an inevitability.
The lines went in before the signs. That's not great, is it?
Right. The signs are there now, though, but you have to take time to read the signs.
Dafür braucht es Schilder zur Erklärung?
and local media coverage was merciless.
A bike lane redo.
These lines popped up overnight.
Really just confused.
Not knowing where to turn.
This tragedy waiting to happen.
And the city got an earful.
You trash our communities with this crap.
You put up 15 traffic signs, over 1,200 feet of road. You're gonna have.
Ja, die Schilder braucht es ja, weil ihr zu doof seid, es zu verstehen. Dafür braucht es ja die Schilder, weil ihr nicht in der Lage seid, das zu verstehen. Aber die Infrastruktur erklärt sich von alleine. Also ich gucke da drauf und ich weiß sofort, was gemeint ist. Es erklärt sich doch von selbst.
Bright lights heading towards you. That's going to confuse the drivers.
Everybody thinks this.
Road. You're going to have bright lights heading towards you. That's going to confuse the drivers.
Everybody thinks this is all great. I don't agree.
Okay, so San Diego tried something really weird. But I don't want to dogpile under the media coverage. I want to learn something.
So I decided to ask somebody, how does this work?
Hi there, my name is Michael Williams.
Ich bin sprachlos. Ja, wie funktioniert das wohl?
I'm a national champion of the edge lane road treatments.
An engineer and researcher, he makes the case that bike lanes, as we know them, are bad.
I'm not saying that.
Okay, I will. You're sandwiched between cars, zooming down the street, and parked cars that at any moment somebody could open their car door and whammo!
An edge lane road treatment is superior to standard bike lanes.
Especially in places where there's not enough room to build a beefy bike lane like these. Think about everything a road has to do. Cars get first dibs because, well, they're paying the bill. But
Haben wir nicht gerade gelernt, dass das nicht so ist?
think about everything a road has to do. Cars get first dibs because, well, they're paying the bill. But space permitting, we'd add good buffered bike lanes, space to park on the street, space for sidewalks, and of course, people like having a front yard. Usually we don't have this much room, and the bike lane is always the cheapest and easiest thing to cut out. Yeah, just let them ride with the cars. It'll be fine.
If a car comes up behind you, you've got some.
Okay, jetzt verstehe ich seinen Humor. Hat ein bisschen gedauert. Ich dachte zuerst einmal das ernst, aber jetzt verstehe ich es. Jetzt verstehe ich den Humor.
Someone who is slowed, and no one likes being at the head of a parade, right? You feel like you're holding everybody up behind you. It's not the most comfortable riding environment.
So, not enough space. Try something new. One that might help drivers, too.
On a normal street, the kind that's American, with the double yellow line and the shared arrow here for the bicyclist to ride in your lane and make you have to wait behind them, you legally can't cross that double yellow to pass them and go around them, even if nobody's coming the other way. But if you get rid of that double yellow, you can.
That's the secret.
I get it. Okay. Doppelte durchgestrichene Linie, doppelt durchgezogene gelbe Linie, Standard in den USA. Deswegen auch in dem letzten Video wurde immer wieder darauf hingewiesen, auf diese doppelt durchgezogene gelbe Linie. Das heißt also, ein normales Überholen ist gar nicht erlaubt. Okay. Ja, okay. Und jetzt nimmt man die Linie weg und deshalb ist jetzt Überholen erlaubt. Um Gottes Willen, wir dürfen jetzt überholen. Okay.
Sauce behind edge lane roads. You can safely and legally pass bikes.
This is really a shared street format. Drivers are allowed in the edge lanes. The vulnerable road users are allowed in the center lane as well.
Instead of locking people between two solid lines, which they can't legally leave, there's flexibility in how we use the road.
Maybe there's a couple of people riding their bikes side by side. You can actually move into the edge lane on the left, provide them more room, make it safer, more comfortable for them, pass them, come back to the center lane.
That may still sound really weird to you, but think.
Nee, eigentlich nicht. Eigentlich nicht, nein. Nee. Nee. Ist nicht komisch.
Them come back to the center lane.
That may still sound really weird to you, but think about this. Every neighborhood street is set up this way. There might not be any lines, but people are driving down the middle of the street, cars are parked to the side, kids playing both on and off the pavement. Neighborhood streets are chaos. on purpose.
Ambiguity, I believe, is a benefit. We drive almost unconsciously. That's why we can talk, we can daydream, we can listen to the radio, we can do other cognitive tasks while we're driving.
Lane markings and curbs kind of do some of the thinking for us. And on high-speed roads like freeways, that's a good thing. But in neighborhoods...
If I'm on a street and I believe there may be a car coming at any moment, by golly, I'm paying attention. This type of driving happens every day with millions of drivers all across the country. Slowing down, negotiating with other drivers, other road users. You do it on these neighborhood roads, you do it in crowded parking lots. And so this treatment is really just codifying that kind of driving behavior. I've got over 60 million motor vehicle trips that tells me this treatment is safer than a standard 2-lane road.
Now you'll notice Michael doesn't talk about bicyclists, he talks about vulnerable road users. Now I don't own a bike right now, but I wanted to give this a try. So I bought something that'll make me a vulnerable road user. Clark asked me whether I had a niece or nephew who was having a birthday, and I lied and said yes, because it was just easier.
Everything sounds good on paper, but maybe there's something wrong with this particular street. Data that Michael and researchers like him have collected show this type of street has 40% fewer crashes than a normal street with a double yellow line. Not enough data yet on pedestrian crashes, but he's optimistic, and I can see why. Everybody seemed to be passing me cautiously. It just didn't feel like the tragedy waiting to happen that one local TV station claimed it to be.
This is the KUSI News at 6.
Listen, if you're out here and you're on a bicycle, I wouldn't feel safe. I mean, because people don't know what's going on.
And look at this surveyor. So he's clearly working for the city. We've been watching him behind you. He's on his...
Ja, ist klar, Digga.
People don't know what's going on.
Ist er dann ausnahmsweise aus Versehen dann in deren Sendung reingeraten. Sehr geil. Oh, köstlich.
And look at this surveyor. So he's clearly working for the city. We've been watching him behind you. He's on his little scooter.
Klar.
I thought it was a tripod back there, but it looks like he's surveying the street, and he's cruising around with his scooter. It got a little dicey between him, 2 cars, and a FedEx truck about 5 minutes ago, too. But
not really. I mean, I was there. The FedEx truck had room, I had room, even the cars passing me had room. I mean, yeah, you had to slow down a little bit, but it was fine. I wonder if the underlying problem isn't the edge lanes. It's what the road is used for. On paper, this is a quiet neighborhood street, but San Diegans use this as a commuter road to get to the freeway.
Ja, dann sollte man da vielleicht eher rangehen und dafür zu sorgen, dass sie das nicht als Abkürzung zur Autobahn benutzen. Das wäre ja mal eine Möglichkeit.
What I mean, you have San Diego here. The edge lanes are up here in the suburb of Mira Mesa. And when the freeways back up, people cut east and west on local streets, like Mira Mesa Boulevard. But when that backs up, people will cut through the neighborhood on Gold Coast Drive. But Mira Mesa Boulevard is a big arterial street. Lines, stoplights, medians, it's designed for it. Gold Coast has people backing out of their driveways onto it. If you really want it to be a through street connecting you to the freeway, it's going to have to change a lot.
The cheater routes, you do tend to get higher speeds, and that's bad for any street, no matter what configuration you're talking about.
Unmarked neighborhood streets only work well because they're slow and they're quiet.
Volume is the enemy. If there are too many people in the edge lane, the cars won't have a place to pass another car successfully.
And since they share lanes, this problem can come from too many cars and too many bikes. But nobody knows what that upper limit is. There's not enough of these accessory bike lanes, edge lane roads in the United States yet. But Michael calculates it's somewhere around 3,000 cars per day. But that's not hard science, at least not yet. Here's what Federal Highway Administration has sorted out thus far. Research indicates that if you stay below that 3,000 mark, with drivers traveling slower than 25 miles per hour, an edge lane road can work wonderfully. There are also some successful examples of streets with twice that much traffic or cars traveling as fast as 35 miles per hour. So that's kind of the maybe range. And edge lanes might accommodate more traffic than that, but cars really need to slow down. Streets that are fast and busy?
Nope.
that's a no-no.
This particular section of Gold Coast was 7,500 trips per day. I mean, it sounds like if you were really going by the guidelines, and you shouldn't have put these there.
So could Gold Coast Drive be exceeding that limit? Could that be why all the neighbors are so upset? This is rush hour, and this is about as bad as the traffic gets. So let's throw the drone up in the air. The city's average daily traffic count is just beyond that 6,000 mark. And what I experience here at 6 p.m. looks very sedate and reasonable. But neighbors tell me traffic really spikes when the elementary school gets out. Back in my day, the 1990s, we walked to school. But that's another discussion for another time. As for speed, the speed limit is posted 25 miles per hour. But people hustling to work might drive 10 miles per hour faster than that or more. So all of this makes me wonder, is there a mismatch between the data the city has and the perception residents have? So really, they're both imagining two different roads, one acceptable for an edge lane treatment and one that isn't.
Hi, my name is Jorge Riveros. I am the Director of Transportation for the City of San Diego. We want to offer our sincerest apologies on how this project was implemented, without any outreach or education with the community. Plain and simple, we messed up.
Workers removing those confusing street signs this morning, which was a welcome sight to a lot of the residents here along Gold Coast Drive. Crews painted over the bike lanes this morning, getting rid of the dotted lines. We were here as they drew the double yellow line. It just looks
so boring by comparison.
Ist das die gleiche Straße? Das sieht ja viel schlimmer aus als vorher.
But the neighbors seem happy. If you want to learn a lot more about edge lane roads and advisory bike lanes, check out this paper that Michael helped author. San Jose State University publishes it. I'll put a link in the comments. For instance, did you know some rural areas are playing with edge lanes? And they seem to be working.
Well, it's really too bad that the edge lanes turned out to be a bust here in Mira Mesa. The question you're probably wondering is, should my town try it? And that really comes down to what your town wants. If you have one of these medium-sized streets and you want to slow it down, make it more neighborly, this is a good option. You should try it. But make sure the city talks to residents first. Otherwise, you can end up with a media circus and a bunch of angry people and have history repeat itself.
Ja, aber eher, weil man diese Aufregung gerade auch pushen will und weil ja höchstwahrscheinlich genau die TV-Stations, die alle in dieser Straße waren, sich gefreut haben, weil sie sich richtig schön aufregen können. Und aufregen ist ja immer richtig gut. Wenn man sich aufregen kann, dann ist man ja erfolgreich, dann kann man ja richtig was bewegen. Also Aufregung ist immer richtig entscheidend gut. Aber ich muss sagen, also vielleicht vorher, nachher, also wenn ich mit diese Vorher-Variante und das, was dann sozusagen daraus wurde, wo haben wir es jetzt da? Also gefällt mir die Variante mit den Radwegen auf jeden Fall um einiges besser als das da, muss ich ganz ehrlich sagen. Aber spannend, das mal aus der Perspektive zu sehen.